Hey everyone, did you know that the vitamin you might not think about often, vitamin B12, could be the key to keeping your brain sharp and your memory intact? Yeah, that's right. Vitamin B12 is essential for nerve function, red blood cell production, and even DNA formation. It's found in foods like fish, meat, eggs, and dairy, and if you're vegan or vegetarian, you might need to get it from fortified cereals or supplements. But here's the kicker. Even if your B12 levels are technically normal, they might still be messing with your brain function. Let's dive into this shocking new study that reveals how both too little and too much B12 could be affecting your cognition in ways you never imagined. What is vitamin B12 and why do you need it? Let's start with the basics. Vitamin B12, also known as cobalamin, is an essential nutrient your body must have to function properly. It plays a key role in brain health, nerve function, red blood cell formation, and even DNA production. Without it, your nervous system and overall cognitive function can take a serious hit. The National Institutes of Health, NIH, recommends that people over 14 get at least 2.4 micrograms of B12 daily. You can find it in fish, meat, poultry, eggs, and dairy products. There are also fortified cereals and nutritional yeast for those on a plant-based diet. But here's the catch. Even if you think you're getting enough, you might still be at risk for cognitive problems. A new study has found that B12 levels, whether too low or too high, can impact brain function, and that's where things get really interesting. The hidden dangers of low B12 levels. A lot of people assume B12 deficiency is rare, but the truth is that up to 40% of Western populations have low or borderline levels. And even if you fall within the so-called normal range, that might not be enough to protect your brain. A study published in Annals of Neurology took a deep dive into B12 levels among older adults. Researchers analyzed 231 healthy participants, all around the age of 71, and found that those with lower B12 levels experienced slower brain processing speeds. That means their brains were literally working at a slower pace. Scary, right? But it doesn't stop there. The study also discovered that lower B12 levels were linked to white matter hyperintensities, brain abnormalities often associated with cognitive decline and dementia. Essentially, low B12 might be causing damage to the very structure of your brain, making it more vulnerable to memory loss and neurological issues. The surprising dangers of high B12 levels. Now you might be thinking, all right, so I just need to make sure I get plenty of B12, right? Well, not so fast. The same study found that people with higher than average B12 levels also showed potential signs of cognitive risk. Specifically, they had increased levels of T-tau protein, a marker associated with neurodegeneration and dementia. But why? Researchers believe that the problem isn't necessarily the total amount of B12 in the blood, but rather the balance between active and inactive B12. Too much inactive B12 can mislead doctors into thinking your levels are fine, when in reality, your brain isn't getting the usable form it actually needs. How does B12 impact the brain? To understand why B12 is so crucial for brain function, let's talk about myelin. Myelin is the protective coating around your nerves, kind of like insulation around electrical wires. It helps transmit signals quickly and efficiently. Without enough B12, your body struggles to maintain this insulation, leading to slower nerve conduction. This is exactly what researchers observed in the study. Participants with lower B12 levels had delayed electrical signals traveling from their eyes to their brain. That's a clear indication that B12 plays a direct role in how fast and efficiently your brain processes information. The scary part, many people with normal B12 levels still showed these issues. That suggests we might need to rethink what's actually considered a healthy range for B12. Should B12 recommendations be changed? Given all this new information, should doctors change how they evaluate B12 levels? Some experts think so. Dr. Ari Green, one of the lead researchers, believes we need to start distinguishing between active and inactive B12 when measuring levels. Right now, standard tests only measure total B12, which can be misleading. If someone has high inactive B12 but low active B12, they could still experience neurological damage, even if their test results look fine. That's why he suggests using more precise methods to assess B12 status, especially in older adults who are at higher risk for cognitive decline. Who's most at risk for B12 issues? Now let's talk about who should be most concerned about their B12 levels. While anyone can be affected, certain groups are at higher risk. Older adults. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at absorbing B12 from food. That's why older individuals are more likely to have deficiencies, even if they eat a normal diet. Vegetarians and vegans. Since B12 is primarily found in animal products, those on plant-based diets need to be extra mindful. Fortified foods and supplements are crucial for maintaining healthy levels. People with digestive disorders. Conditions like Crohn's disease, celiac disease, and IBS can interfere with B12 absorption, leading to deficiencies. Individuals taking certain medications, some drugs like metformin for diabetes and proton pump inhibitors for acid reflux, can reduce B12 absorption over time. If you fall into any of these categories, it might be worth getting your B12 levels checked regularly to avoid potential issues. How to make sure you're getting the right amount of B12. So, what's the best way to keep your B12 levels in check? Here are some key takeaways. Eat B12-rich foods. Salmon, beef, eggs, dairy, and fortified cereals are great sources. If you're vegetarian or vegan, make sure to include fortified plant-based options. Consider a supplement. A multivitamin with B12 is usually enough for most people, but if you have trouble absorbing B12, you may need a higher dose supplement or even B12 injections. Don't overdo it. While excess B12 is generally considered safe, since your body excretes the extra, very high levels might still pose risks, as we saw in the study. Get tested. If you're experiencing brain fog, memory issues, or unexplained fatigue, ask your doctor for a detailed B12 test that measures both active and inactive levels. And here's an important tip. B12 absorption works best in small doses throughout the day, so if you're supplementing, you might want to take it in divided doses instead of one big pill. Should you get your B12 levels tested? If you've been feeling mentally sluggish, forgetful, or fatigued, it might be time to check your B12 levels. But don't just settle for a standard B12 test. Ask your doctor to check active B12 and methylmalonic acid (MNA) levels. These provide a clearer picture of how well your body is actually using B12. Catching a deficiency early can make a huge difference in preventing long-term cognitive decline. B12 and mood. Could a deficiency be causing your anxiety or depression? We've talked about how B12 affects brain function, but here's something you might not expect. B12 levels could also be messing with your mood and mental health. Studies have found a strong link between B12 deficiency and symptoms of depression, anxiety, and even irritability. But why? B12 plays a crucial role in producing neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, which regulate mood and emotions. When B12 levels are low, your brain struggles to produce enough of these feel-good chemicals, leading to symptoms like low energy, brain fog, and even mood swings. Some researchers even suggest that chronic B12 deficiency could increase the risk of developing major depressive disorder over time. What's even more surprising is that some people diagnosed with depression or anxiety might actually just have undiagnosed B12 deficiency. In fact, a study found that supplementing with B12, especially alongside other B vitamins like folate and B6, improved depression symptoms in many patients. So, if you've been feeling persistently down, anxious, or irritable, and nothing seems to help, it might be worth getting your B12 levels checked. Your mental health could be one supplement away from a major improvement. At the end of the day, vitamin B12 plays a huge role in brain health, and this new study proves that both too little and too much can have serious consequences. Whether you're in your 20s or your 70s, keeping your B12 levels in check is crucial for staying sharp, focused, and mentally strong. So, what do you think? Have you ever had your B12 levels checked? Thanks for watching. Please check out the description field of this video to review all medical references and recommendations. And if you found this video to be interesting, we would sincerely ask that you hit the like button and subscribe to assist in the continued growth of this channel. Or simply click on this video or the playlist to keep exploring more amazing content.